So when I was around the age of 12, I began to notice something in this area. I began to notice that more and more churches were being built. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I just noticed that they kept on popping up almost on every corner. So when I did some research and I found out that there are more churches than there are liquors in this area. There are over 670 liquors and there are over 1,605 churches just in this area. I thought that was pretty crazy. And then I began to wonder why. So I would sometimes just go visit a church. I'm not a religious person, but I would still just go in and then see how a church works. I never became a fanatic of it, so I'm not a religious person, but I began to notice something. I began to notice that there is an absence of female leadership. I began to notice that there were only pastors, that the females were sometimes segregated from everyone else. When there would be big meetings, it would only be male. There wouldn't be any really females in it. And then I began to notice that churches began to look like McDonald's because they were everywhere. McDonald's, church, McDonald's. It was crazy. So in looking into the thing I said about how there was an absence of religion, I began to notice that throughout history, females have been traditionally oppressed. So and I began to think, instead of just thinking of this little area, why don't I take it on a grand scale and begin to look at the world? So then this chart explains the different kind of religions that there are in the world. And there are many females that practice each kind of religion because there are over 2 billion active members of some sort of religion. Starting with Roman Catholic, Protestant, and Eastern Orthodox. That is the 3 branches of Christianity. And then going into Islam, there are many more because Islam is mainly practiced in this area. So, something I noticed about every religion that when a man was killed, it was viewed as horrible. But when a female was killed, it was viewed as, it's just like a sacrifice. It's okay. There are many more females here. So, and I began to notice that these traditions are bad. I began to notice that these traditions aren't fair. They really weren't. An example of this tradition would be something of abortion. Some females are not allowed to have an abortion in Europe, in the Islamic religion. Females, if you get an abortion, you're automatically killed. You're stoned to death. We're not on the spot, but they look at you and they're like, why would you have an abortion? They're not even allowed at all. They're just banned from the country. And if they find out that you did have one, you'd be stoned to death. That's how it is. And then another thing is that females in the Islamic religion, they're not allowed to show any part of their skin. That's another form of repression because you're not allowing something so basic that you could do in life. When females are in the house and in an Islamic house, they're only allowed to show their face. The rest of the body has to be covered. And I'm like, what if it's hot? What are you gonna wear then? Also, when some people come over, they're forced to wear the veil on their face, and then if they go out into the public, they're forced to wear the full turban. Can't show anything. It's all black. Yeah, like that. So I think that's a problem, and honestly, there has to be something done about it. Us, as males, as a gender, we have to encourage females to kind of question some of these traditions that religions have, because that we're not going to be able to progress as a human race. We won't be able to progress forward. And then what we could do about it is that we can just encourage females from other religions or from other countries to kind of question their superiors. I'm not saying start an all-out riot and a war or something. I'm just saying just kind of begin to question some of these values because a lot of these things, they're not fair. Coming from a male, I view that it's not fair at all. So yeah.
Why did you choose this topic?
I don't know. Like I said, I noticed that, and then I would talk to my mom about it. My mom was never a religious person, so I would kind of have to figure things out on my own. And then my dad, he's like, anti-religion, so I can't really talk to him. So I began to do like my own thing into this, and then I saw the Da Vinci Code and what that guy did about this, and then I kind of based off of that, but then I kind of used like real life facts, and I just on a movie. So yeah.
Is there a reason like why you're not into religion?
No, I was just never raised in church. Like I was never go to Sundays. Just wasn't me.
So with are you just like with your position? Are you saying how you think it's not right, or how you think like? Because I know that that some women here, they go over there to Islam, and they want to become a wife of those men, and they change their whole way of being just to practice that religion, even if they have to like stop wearing like things like a regular woman would, or here in America. And so, do you think like these women would prefer being like that because, like, you know, Catholic girls are raised one way, girls that grow up in like evangelist Christianity religion, that's how they grow up, and that's how that's the way that they like to be, because that's how they grew up. That's how they grew up to be. So that's the only way they know of being. So I feel like maybe in Islam, these girls, that's the only way they know. So that's what they're used to. And I know that some girls don't like to change. That that's how they want to live. So what do you think? What would you do with those girls? Like the girls that think that there's something wrong with them?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, honestly, I would try to like talk to those girls, try to show them that there are better ways, because that is like they are being oppressed. Even though that they don't mind it, they still are being oppressed, and it's still not right. Even if they're okay with it, it's not right. So what I would do is I would try to talk to them and then be like, oh, like if I'm not saying don't practice religion, but then if you get out of this, there's like so many more opportunities for you to like go into. You can go to school, you can have a voice, you can be someone with power instead of having to be someone, you know, just a wife at home, like a traditional thing. So, any more questions?
I have some questions.
Yeah.
So, when you refer to like Muslims do this and Muslims do that, like, do you feel like that's pretty much uniformly true around the whole world of Islam, or like?
No, I think. Well, honestly, like around the world, Islam is all around the world. But like they're like Islamic people here, but then we don't see them practice those like hardcore traditions that they do back, say, like in the Middle East.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think there's even some diversity within the Middle Eastern countries of how they dress, for example?
Yeah. I know that it's different from Pakistan and like Afghanistan. They dress like completely different. So I'm not like very knowledgeable into that area,
right?
But I know that they are different.
I think there's a pretty broad range of women's rights and issues across the Middle East with the Muslim world and across Africa and the Muslim world. Some countries are more liberal towards women, where women can sort of maybe just put a scarf on when they go out or don't have to wear it at all. And then other countries wear what's called the full hijab, which is like the full sort of veil with the full outfit. Okay, and then the whole stoning to death thing, is that common across the whole Middle East?
Usually, like in areas where they do practice like hardcore traditions, if they find out even that you get raped and you want an abortion, it's not allowed. And if you do get one, you still get stoned.
Right. I've heard of that. That's what unfortunately still is practiced in much of the Muslim world. It's what's called honor killing. And obviously, I think most of us would agree that we don't think that's honorable at all. Danny, do you have a question? Comment.
What has a lot to do with it too, because I know in the Middle Eastern, if you have money, you don't, the rules of religion doesn't really apply to you. You do whatever you want, as in if you don't want to wear the job, you don't wear it. If you want to wear makeup, then you wear it. But if you don't have money, then you kind of are obligated, or you're offended.
Do you mean like the social status as a whole, or just like because you have wealth?
Because you have wealth.
I know that over there it's because of social status too. Like some higher up females do get to like kind of bend the rules a bit, but if you're overall, like if you're at the bottom, you still have to wear. Like they still have to follow the rules if they go out, like out in public and stuff. When they're at home, they don't really have to like. They can play with the rules.
How do you think that we can stand and at the same time keep themselves safe? So you know how you said that if a woman tries to stand up for her rights, like say we're talking about abortion, how they can be stoned, and even then, also some parts of the country if you're cheated, it's the same thing for you. But how do you think they can do it in a way that keeps them safe and at the same time sort of advocates for like a non-violent
I know I saw this documentary once about that. There's like a group in the Middle East that tries to help these females. And I think the best thing to do would be kind of like come together, because if you come together like 5 females versus a man, you can easily like overpower him. You know, like I'm not talking about just like physically, but like mentally, you can like outsmart a man. You get me? Yeah.
One woman can do that.
Yeah. Isn't that fun?
Yeah, I think it's a great question, Iram. Is like, it's easy for us to sit back here in America and say like female empowerment, yeah, let's go get it, ladies. But it's a very different story when you live in Pakistan. It's a very different story when you live in Afghanistan, and there's still these types of horrendous things happening every day to females in their society. So I think that's just a really important question that Iram asked, and I don't know if anyone really has the right answer to that, because in the Muslim world, in certain countries, resistance could be very dangerous, right? And so it's hard for us to sort of sit back and just say that their values aren't working and what should they do. But I think that's a really tough, it's a good conversation to have. Any other questions or contributions? All right, Michael, thanks.